Nokia, it's lost market share to Apple, it's lost market share to the Android handsets. Is this decline for Nokia terminal?
No. Basically, Nokia was the king of user experience 10 years ago. They lost it to Apple, they lost it to Google devices, but with the new platform that Microsoft released a year ago, we do believe they can reverse the situation.
Nokia, a name that was once synonymous with mobile phones, reliability, and innovation. If you grew up in the late 90s or early 2000s, it's almost impossible not to remember your first Nokia phone.
The ability to do or not do anything you want. Introducing the Nokia 3300 series wireless phone. Nokia, connecting people.
Maybe it was that indestructible Nokia 3310 that could survive a fall off a building. Maybe it was the ringtone that became the soundtrack of an entire generation's mobile experience. But how did a Finnish giant, who ruled the world of mobile phones for over a decade, go from being the king of phones to a tech relic in just a few years? Born in a small Finnish town as a paper mill in 1865, Nokia's journey is one of the most fascinating in tech history. From rubber boots and cables to consumer electronics, this was a company that constantly evolved. But no transformation was more dramatic or more impactful than its entry into the world of mobile phones. Let's rewind the clock to a time when Nokia wasn't just a phone, it was the phone. Picture it, the mid-1990s. The world was just beginning to embrace mobile phones, and Nokia was leading the charge. With sleek designs, user-friendly interfaces, and a reputation for quality, Nokia's phones were everywhere. They weren't just tools, they were cultural icons. In fact, by 2002, Nokia was untouchable. At its peak, it controlled over 40% of the global mobile phone market. It was as if they had discovered the secret to mobile phone success. What Nokia did was incredible. They built their empire on hardware, and they knew what consumers wanted even before the market did. They were ahead of their time, with innovations like the Nokia 5110 and later the 3210, affordable, durable, and customizable. But like many great stories, the higher you climb, the harder you fall. What went wrong? Was it inevitable? Or were there choices that could have changed the course of history? But as with many giants, the cracks began to appear when a new challenger entered the arena. In 2007, Apple unveiled the iPhone.
And we are calling it iPhone. Today,
a sleek, touch-driven device that didn't just change phones, it changed everything. Suddenly, Nokia's phones, which were praised for their durability and battery life, began to look dated. They lacked the polish, the style, and the powerful software that was now defining the mobile experience. Apple was about to revolutionize the way we interacted with mobile devices.
we solved this problem. So how are we going to take this to a mobile device? Well, what we're going to do is get rid of all these buttons and just make a giant screen. A giant screen. Now,
but Nokia, they were still focused on hardware. Symbian OS, their operating system, had been the foundation of their phones, but it was clunky, outdated, and failed to keep up with the likes of iOS and Android. But Nokia didn't react quickly enough. They believed their dominance in the hardware market could carry them through. They didn't see the shifting tide until it was too late. Meanwhile, Apple's iPhone was sleek, intuitive, and packed with apps that made it more than just a phone. It was a lifestyle device. And then the final blow came in 2011. In a desperate attempt to stay relevant, Nokia announced a partnership with Microsoft to launch Windows phones. But it was already too late. The market had shifted, and Android and iOS were miles ahead. Nokia, once the king of mobile phones, was now trailing in the dust. Nokia was caught in a vicious cycle of complacency. They believed their legacy would keep them on top, but they didn't realize that innovation wasn't just about making phones. It was about rethinking the entire user experience. And by 2014, Nokia's mobile division was sold to Microsoft, marking the end of an era.
It's a deal worth more than $7 billion. Microsoft is showing it's committed to turning itself into more of a devices company that sells phones and tablets rather than a software or personal computer company.
The phones we grew up with, those tough, unbreakable devices, were gone. But what's even more fascinating is that even as their phones disappeared, Nokia itself was far from finished. While Nokia's phones were no longer in our pockets, the company found a second life. In fact, Nokia is still a key player in the tech world, just not in the way we expected. Today, Nokia focuses on building the infrastructure behind 5G, powering entire networks that make modern technology possible. They're not just surviving, they're innovating in an entirely different space. Through strategic pivots, Nokia reinvented itself as a telecommunications giant. Its networks power everything from mobile services to industrial automation and even healthcare tech. Apart from this, in a bold move towards revolutionizing the way we communicate, Nokia has unveiled a groundbreaking technology called Immersive Voice and Audio Services, IVS. This new feature brings 3D spatial sound to voice and video calls, making conversations feel as though the person you're talking to is right there beside you. Imagine hearing not just their voice, but the surrounding sounds as if you're in the same room. In short, Nokia might not be the king of mobile phones anymore, but it's still shaping the future of tech. But the story doesn't end here. Nokia, once the king of mobile phones, has been absent from the spotlight for a while now, but change might be on the horizon. For the past several years, Nokia-branded phones have been produced by HMD Global under a licensing agreement with Nokia. However, this agreement is coming to an end in 2026. With the conclusion of this partnership, the future of Nokia in the smartphone market is now up in the air. The end of the HMD agreement could be the beginning of something big for Nokia. As we look ahead to 2026, one thing's for sure: Nokia's story is far from over. The next act might just be its most exciting yet.